Hello everyone! Today we are going to return to Final Fantasy, the card game. Oh, I have opened this when the very first set came out. I had the starter decks and everything. And then I kind of lost track in it and interest in it. Because no one played it. And then COVID hit and, well, I kind of forgot about a lot of card games. But now I have been replaying the old Final Fantasies through the PlayStation 4. Final Fantasy, the Pixel remasters. I have finished number 1, 2, 3, and I'm busy with Final Fantasy 4 right now. So it was high time to revisit the card game. And I have a starter deck for Final Fantasy 2. The Emperor versus Firion, the Warrior of Light. So let's see here. This is labeled the 2-player starter set Villains and Heroes. So let's take a look at what we get. And if we can spot more characters that we know. Or just Firion and the Emperor. Now then, I have seen quite some tutorials. But I really found out that, well, it's not being played in the Netherlands at all. There's only like one shop in Rotterdam. But I'm not going all the way to Rotterdam. I mean, I live in Haarlem and that's like 50 minutes drive. And that's way too much for Dutch standards to go out and, play a card game. I know you Americans will probably say, oh, it's just a short travel. But not for us here. 50 minutes is quite a long way. Right. I mean, it takes like 2 hours to get to the border of, one place of the country to the other. So, these cards are all stuck together. That's interesting. Right, so we start off here with the Emperor, and I will go through the text. Please excuse me if I don't know everything. It's a backup for 2. And it has an EX Burst ability. When the Emperor enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls. If you have received 4 points of damage or more, dull it and freeze it. Then for 1 and tap, or dull, discard 2 cards, choose one dull forward, break it. You can only use this ability during your turn. Now I don't know if any of the cards are good, because that's what I said, I don't play the game. So I don't know. I'm just a fan of Final Fantasy. Okay, so it's just the front card here. We have Ultimecia, which is from Final Fantasy 8. And I did play Final Fantasy 8 a couple of times, but I am going in order. When I'm done with the Pixel remasters, I will go on with Final Fantasy 7, 8, etc, etc. So this is quite a way to go for me. Ultimecia, for 6, we have a forward card. When she enters the field, select one of the 3 following actions. If you have received 6 points of damage, select up to 2 of the 3 following actions instead. Choose up to 2 characters opponent controls, dull them, freeze all the forwards opponent controls, or freeze all the backups opponent controls. Right, and by the looks of it, every card here is from Opus 7. Oh, no. Never mind, this one is from Opus 3, and it's from Final Fantasy 7. It's Genesis, which is a forward. A soldier for 4. When Genesis enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls, dull it and freeze it. When Genesis deals damage to your opponent discards 1 card from his or her hand. Right, and the playset in this game is 3. Kator Bashtar, type 0. Forward, EX Burst. When Kator Bashtar attacks, choose one forward of cost 3 or less opponent controls and freeze it. Devout, from Final Fantasy 3. The job system. It was actually quite fun to play with the Devout. With the whole job system. It was something different, but I'm glad to be done with that. It's a backup for 4, and if you dull it, put Devout in the break zone, choose one forward of cost 4 or less from your break zone, play it onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn. Get 2 of him. Dr. Sid from Final Fantasy 12 for 2. When a backup you control is broken by your opponent's summon or ability, your opponent puts one character from his field into the break zone. This is a whole mixture of Opus cards, and by the looks of it, none of them are alternate arts, so that's good. So yeah, you can just fill your collection with this. Well, I can at least. We have an Arcanist from Final Fantasy Tactics A2 Grimoire of the Rift. I recently found out that the game is right over here, and this is just the abbreviation. Right, for 2, it's a backup, and if you pay 2 and you dull it, select one number. All forwards of that cost cannot attack this turn. And they're still all from the element of frost. Then we have Glacialabolas, which is from Final Fantasy Mobius. Never heard of that game before. It's a summon, and it looks like Doom Train. For 3, select up to 2 of the 4 following actions. Your opponent discards one card from his or her hand, or choose a forward, dull it, choose a forward, freeze it, choose one dull forward, deal it 7k damage. Then we have Dissidia, Final Fantasy Arcade. We have Shiva, which is also a summon. For 2, choose up to 2 forwards opponent's controls, dull them. And dulling is the same as tapping in other games. Then we have a Milites Coral. For 3, it's a type 0 card. It's a monster. I don't know what a monster is. I've never seen that in the first two sets. And for 0, until the end of the turn, Milites Coral also becomes a forward with 5k power, and when Milites Coral attacks, choose one forward, dull it. You can only use this ability once per turn. Then we have from, it's Garland from Final Fantasy 1. Well, actually, Dissidia Final Fantasy Arcade, but it says 1. And I noticed that all of those cards are basically from Final Fantasy and then the number. So Final Fantasy 1 in this case, which I also played. For 3, we have a forward that says when Garland blocks, Garland gains plus 2k power until the end of the turn. And when Garland is put from the field into the break zone, choose one forward. It gains plus 4k power until the end of the turn. It's a lightning type. Lightning elements. Then for Final Fantasy 4, oh yeah, we have Golbez. Oh, I recognize that guy. Ooh, big bad guy. For 8, it's a forward, and the cost required to play Golbez onto the field is reduced by 1 for every 5 cards in your break zone. When Golbez enters the field, choose one forward of cost 5 or less in your break zone, add it to your hand. Alright, in the break zone is basically the discard pile. Just saying. Then we have Amon for Final Fantasy XIV. I have played Final Fantasy XIV a bit, but yeah, I just couldn't get through it. It's a fun game, don't get me wrong, but I just couldn't get through it. I just got stuck at a certain level and couldn't level anymore. And I didn't want to grind anyway. For 4, we get a forward. When Amon enters the field, choose one forward opponent controls. Dull it. And then you can dull this one. Choose one forward and dull it. So it's all about the dulling. Then we have Cypher. Ah, nice. From Final Fantasy VIII. Oh, that's pretty cool. Cypher. I always liked him. He's a forward, a seed candidate. For 3. And it has EX Burst. And when Cypher enters the field, you may search for one job, witch, and add it to your hand. And that's probably Ultimecia, right? Right? Yeah, that's Ultimecia. Makes sense. Okay. Red Mage, also a job for Final Fantasy 3. For 2, we have a backup. If you pay lightning and tap it, choose one forward. It gains haste until the end of the turn. Haste is basically the same as in Magic. Duke Goltana from Final Fantasy Tactics. It's a backup for 3, and when it enters the field, you may search for one job knight and add it to your hand. Is that a knight? No, that's an emperor. Sorry. Okay. Tactics. I have not played it either, but it's only for the Game Boy Advance, right? Cannoneer. Also for Tactics A2, Grimoire of the Rift. It's a 2 cost backup for 1 and dull. Put Cannoneer into the break zone. Basically, put it into the discard pile. Choose 1 blocking forward. It loses 3k power until the end of the turn. Then we have Idea, also for Final Fantasy VIII. And this is from the Theathrim Final Fantasy Curtain Call game, which is unrecognizable to me either, but I recognize the character. Idea, with the same back name as I have, Kramer. Backup for 4. If you tap it, put Idea into the break zone. Choose 1 job witch in your break zone and play it onto the field. You can only use this ability during your turn. Seymour, from my favorite Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy X. Oh, I love it. Real tearjerker. For 4, it's a backup, and when Seymour enters the field, choose 1 forward of cost 3 or less. Break it. Odin from Final Fantasy Tactics. It's a summon for 7, and EX Burst, choose 1 forward. Break it. Very nice. Shadow Lord, which is of the element, what is that? Colorless? I don't recognize that. Don't know what that is. Lord of Vermilion, 11. Oh, Final Fantasy 11. That's a long time ago. For 4, we have a forward with Brave. And Brave is basically Vigilance for magic. So you don't have to dull it if it attacks. When it enters the field, break all the forwards of cost 2 or less. Ooh, nice. When a forward opponent controls is put into the grave into the field. Is put from the field into the break zone. Choose 1 forward opponent controls. Deal it 2k power. 2k damage. Alright, so that's it for the Emperor deck. Let's go take a look at Firion, the Fire deck. And I think it also has water, maybe. Who knows? Wind could be as well. Let's have a look, shall we? Let's unbrick this brick. Firion, let's take a look. 2, the cost of 2, it's a forward with EX Burst. When Firion enters the field, choose 1 forward opponent controls. Deal it 2k power for each forward you control, up to 3 forwards. And of course we get 3 of him. Then we have the Warrior of Light for Final Fantasy 1. Oh, I really enjoyed just the simplicity of the story of Final Fantasy 1. It I really like that. For 2, it's a forward. If you control 4 or more forwards, Warrior of Light gains haste. Oh, fitting. When Warrior of Light enters the field, all the forwards you control gain plus 2k power until the end of the turn. I like that. Oh, Vivi, Final Fantasy 9. Now, don't bash me in the comments. I really like the art, by the way. But yeah, I have only played disc 1 of Final Fantasy 9. I've never actually finished it. Back in the day, I didn't really like it, but I'm going to give it a try again because I'm going to play every single Final Fantasy. That being said, I have never played 6 either, and I have never finished 5. So yeah, quite some fun times to go. Vivi for 3, Black Mage, forward. When it enters the field, choose 1 forward opponent controls, deal it 4k damage and 1k more damage for each card in your opponent's hand. Then Firaga for, what is that, S? I don't know what that means, but for 3 fire. And Doll deals 7k damage to all forwards. That's nice. Very nice, but I don't know what S means, so... Luneth from Final Fantasy 3. Alright, also one of the Warriors of Light. Probably one of those characters that came and went. Yeah, those were quite a lot of in Final Fantasy 3. The job, Warrior of Light forwards and Fire forwards. Other than Luneth, you control gain plus 1k power. Doll, a total of 3 active fire forwards or fire backups. Choose 1 forward, deal it 2k damage. That's nice. Very nice. Don't actively remember Luneth, the name Luneth. Maybe I have a seeding game. Red Mage, also a job for Final Fantasy 3. It's a backup for 2. And then you can pay 2, I want to say mana, crystals, to dull it and choose 1 forward. It cannot block this turn. Black Mage, also Final Fantasy 3. For 2, backup, 1 fire and dull. Put Black Mage into the break zone. Choose 1 forward, deal it 4k damage. Selfie! Oh, look at that. Also a seed candidate, just like Cypher. For Final Fantasy 8, of course. For 2, it is a backup. And then you can pay 2 fire crystals and dull it. Choose 1 attacking forward. It gains plus 2k power until the end of the turn. And this art is, by the way, from the Triple Triad game. Very cool. Mitsuki. I don't know her. Type 0, I never played Type 0. Yeah. Is that part of some other Final Fantasy, or is it its own? Is it a full Final Fantasy game? I don't know. Mitsuki for 2. Backup. If you pay 1 and you dull it, choose 1 forward, deal it 1k damage. Brynhilder from Final Fantasy 13. Summon for 3. EX Burst, choose 1 forward, deal it 7k damage. Yeah, this is just all about the fire. Belias the Gigas for 2 from Final Fantasy 12. Summon with EX Burst. Choose 1 forward until the end of the turn. It gains plus 1k power, haste, and first strike. Draw 1 card. Cecil or Cecil or however you want to call it. I've always struggled with this name. Is it Cecil or is it Cecil? Press 1 or press 2 to vote. Yeah, from Final Fantasy 4, of course. I played the game. Well, I started the game yesterday because I finished 3 yesterday. So I'm really quite early into the game. But I already finished it a long time ago, so I know what will happen with Cecil. Cecil. Yeah, and in this case, he's a paladin, a forward. So this is a post transformation. With a cost of 5. EX Burst. When Cecil enters the field, choose up to 2 characters. Activate them. If you have received 5 points of damage or more, Cecil gains plus 2k power, and Cecil cannot be chosen by your opponent's abilities. Alright. Ishtola from the Dissidia Final Fantasy Arcade 14. Someone, please explain to me, what is this Dissidia that I keep reading about? I mean, this is also from Dissidia, but this is Final Fantasy 4. I know that, but what is Dissidia then? I don't know. I'm confused. For 2, it's a backup, and when Ishtola enters the field, choose 1 forward opponent controls, deal it 2k damage. Therefore 1 green and a dull, put Ishtola into the break zone, choose 1 forward, deal it 7k damage. You can only use this ability if you control 7 or more characters. Izana, type 0, forward for 2 cost. When Izana enters the field, you may search for 1 job chocobo or card named chocobo and add it to your hand. Let me guess, we get a chocobo after this. No, but probably somewhere in the deck. Arc. Also from Final Fantasy 3. I'm really struggling to remember. Who is this? And who was the other one? I don't remember someone called Arc. I just finished it yesterday. Alright, it's a forward. It's a warrior of light. Wait, isn't this just one of the heroes that you play, that you can actually name? Huh. Do they have official names? I didn't see that. For 3, it's the job warrior or of light forwards and wind forwards other than Arc you control. Gain plus 1k power. Dull a total of 3 active wind forwards or wind backups. Choose 1 forward. It cannot be blocked by a forward of cost 3 or more this turn. There's the Chocobo from Final Fantasy 7. For 3, we have a forward with haste. And when Chocobo forms a party and attacks, Chocobo and all forwards forming a party with it gains plus 3k power until the end of the turn. Another Chocobo from Final Fantasy Tactics. For 3, a forward. If Chocobo forms a party, Chocobo doesn't receive any damage. Fat Chocobo then, from Special. What is that? I don't know. For 5, it's a backup. When Fat Chocobo enters the field, you may search for one job Chocobo or... Well, that was me throwing down everything with my fat fingers. Fitting for Fat Chocobo. Right. I'm just not gonna cut it out, or else I'm gonna have to bring out the laptop, and I don't wanna. When Fat Chocobo enters the field, you may search for one job Chocobo or one card named Chocobo, of course 3 or less, and play it onto the field. And then when you dull it, choose one job Chocobo or card named Chocobo. It gains plus 2k power until the end of the turn. Then we have an Archer from Final Fantasy Tactics. For 2, it is a backup that has the cost of 2 and dull. Put Archer into the break zone. Choose one backup of cost 3 or less. Break it. Echo for Mobius Final Fantasy. Backup, it's a fairy for 4 with an EX burst, and that says when Echo enters the field, select up to 2 of the 4 following actions. Choose one forward, activate it. Choose one backup other than Echo, activate it. Look at the top card of your deck. You may place the card at the bottom of your deck or draw one card. Then we have Diablos from Final Fantasy VIII. A summon for 3. Choose one forward. It becomes its power becomes 4k until the end of the turn. Draw one card. Ooh, what's this? Vol. Also from Mobius. What is this Mobius? Some mobile game or something? For 4, it's a forward, and I don't recognize this symbol either. Is that light or something? It is a warrior of light, it's a forward, and when it enters the field, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Add one job warrior of light among them to your hand, and return the other cards from the bottom of your deck. In any order. When Wall is put from the field into the break zone, choose one job warrior of light of cost 3 or less in your break zone. Play it onto the field. And there you have it. That's the Firion deck, which is a lot more recognizable in terms of the old Final Fantasies than the Emperor deck. I really, really like these cards, and I will definitely try these out. I will teach my girlfriend, and we will play Final Fantasy. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next time when I have another Final Fantasy deck coming up. See you all then. Bye-bye.